Well, good afternoon, students, and hopefully some parents. I wanted to go over a couple things that we've been working on as far as adding and subtracting fractions. So these two problems are kind of our most commonly missed problems. And some of the vocabulary words that I'm throwing out here, your kids should definitely recognize. So let's go ahead and get started on the first one. So we have 1 and 5/6, and we're adding 2 and 8/12. So kids are taught for the very first thing they should do is look at their denominators. If they are not like, meaning they are unlike, then they need to find the least common denominator. And some of the kids do not even need to do this, but if they do, they list the skip counts of the numbers. So they would go 6, 12, 18, 24. Now I always have them list the first four because a lot of times it's within that first four that you're going to find your least common denominator. So we call that the LCD, okay? Then we're going to go to our 12. So we're going to go 24, 36, and 48. Now your kids have been taught to look at the two skip counts and find the smallest or the least number that they have in common, and they can pretty quickly decide that that's 12. Now some kids do not need to do this step. They kind of know their facts well enough, and they can go ahead and just change the denominators to 12. Okay. Now what they're taught to do is they are taught to divide and multiply. So they ask themselves, how many times is 12 going to 12? Well, it goes one time, and 1 times 8 is 8. And so now they have the same fraction because this ended up being the common denominator. Now up here, they've got 6 and 12. So they're going to say, how many times does 6 divide into 12? And so some of them will even do that. And they'll say 2 times, and 5 times 2 is 10. Now, going back to what we're doing is addition. They add up 10 and 8, which gives them 18/12. And they come over here and add their whole numbers up, and that gives them 3 and 18/12. Now, a couple weeks ago, I allowed this to be their answer. However, I'm asking them to put it into the simplest form. So what I have asked them to do is turn 3 and 18/12 into its simplest form. So the way we have done it is we have divided 12 into 8. So we're asking ourselves, how many times does 12 go into 8? Well, same kind of idea with the skip counts. 12 goes into, not 8, but 18. 12 into 18. 12 goes into 18 one time. And if they've been taught to subtract 8 and 2, which is 6. And so they've got 1 and 6/12. Now this is where it begins to get tricky. So they still have this whole number. Now they've got a new whole number, and now they've even got a new fraction, okay? So we still have to look at our new fraction to decide, is this in simplest form? Well, I know I've got 2 wholes, so I've got 3 and 1, which gives me a total of 4, okay? Now your kids should recognize that 6/12 is not in its simplest form. Now what we've done to teach simplest form is this. We have allowed them to list multiplication facts that equal 6 and multiplication facts that also equal 12. So this is kind of the way we've done it. We have gone down here, and I'll slide this down just a little bit. And we have done 6, and we've kind of branched this off and said, okay, 6 times 1 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. And then we go over here for 12. We say, okay, how do you equal 12? Well, 12 times 1 is 12, 6 times 2 is 12, and 4 times 3 is 12. And this is finding the greatest common factor is what we call that. So there's so much going on here. However, we can see that they're looking for the greatest common factor. Well, these are factors, all of these are. And so which one is the largest they share? Well, this one has 6, this one has 6. They both have 3s and they both have 2s, but we're looking for the greatest. That happens to be 6, so they should be able to go down there and circle those and see. And I'm going to give a shout out to Austin Tillery because he noticed this one day we were doing these, and Miss Hutchins kind of new to this material. You know, I mean, obviously I haven't taught 5th grade in 10 years, so I had to brush up on it. Well, look what he noticed. He noticed that our whole number is still going to be 4, but when we find that greatest common factor, the other factors that are left is the simplest form. So our simplest form is 1/2. So 6/12 is equal to 1/2. So our new answer is 4 1/2. Now this is kind of our most complicated. So we're in an improper form, then we combine our whole numbers, and then we have to do simplest form. So a lot going on. So I would appreciate if you would watch this with your child and see how they feel about it. And tomorrow we're going to look at a second problem, which is also one of our most difficult, which is over here, which would be borrowing from a fraction. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Parents, I hope that your child can get something from this, and hopefully we can all learn. Thank you so much for watching.